Sophie Cunningham is going to live forever on account of this, and it really will never get old. That's why it has spread everywhere. It's just objectively funny, entertaining. The charisma that comes from it, the reaction, obviously, from DeWanna Bonner with the context, but even people who had no idea what the context of that finger point were shared that finger point so widely because it just made for an amazing meme. Like you could send that to literally anybody and they would find it amusing. And, Sophie Cunningham is going to live forever as a result of that. And obviously, Sophie Cunningham has made a name for herself with the Indiana Fever.
The words cut through the silence like a knife. Sophie Cunningham didn't just speak, she tore down the facade of a league that claims to protect its players. While everyone was busy laughing at a viral meme, Sophie was ready to expose the truth about how the WNBA has handled the unprecedented heat surrounding Caitlin Clark. She wasn't holding back, and she didn't care who heard it. This wasn't just a post-game interview. It was a declaration of war against the status quo that has left the biggest stars in the game to fend for themselves in a digital wilderness.
This too, because I had wondered if Sophie and Caitlin were being protected from the media a little bit, given everything that had gone on. And when Sophie was out sick, right after the all of this, the coincidence of it was a thing that was brought up. And, considering the whole final play game and then the elbow, it had been a couple times where she had coincidentally been out because of injury and then illness. But the timing of it was right after a whole thing. But if you hear Sophie Cunningham talk, she's clearly been dealing with an illness.
When Sophie Cunningham went missing from the court, the rumors started flying immediately. Was she being silenced? Was she being hidden from the media after the chaos of the Indiana Fever games? The timing was almost too perfect. Right after the elbow, right after the finger pointing, Sophie vanished. But when she finally resurfaced, she blew the lid off the conspiracy. She wasn't on some secret suspension or being protected by the league's PR team. She was rotting in her bed, fighting an illness that almost took her out, while the rest of the world speculated about her disappearance.
I was on vacation. I was rotting in my bed. I feel better, just kind of waiting for my energy and this headache to kind of go away a little bit. But I'm here, and so that's great.
What's it like to see yourself become a meme in real time to the extent that you have this last week?
So goofy. Like everyone, it's getting worldwide views now, and so it's just been kind of fun to see. But honestly, I've been like dying in my bed, so I haven't really seen. My mom's keeping me up to date on everything, but it's funny. It's cool. I didn't even mean for it to blow up like that, but the internet does what the internet does.
Do you have a favorite one of the ones you have?
Yeah, Statue of Liberty. Dude, that is my favorite one. I feel like we need to change that.
The finger-pointing moment with DeWanna Bonner has become the stuff of internet legend. It's a meme that has spread to every corner of the globe, transcending the sport itself. But behind that gesture was a deeper story of a player who felt she had to take matters into her own hands. Sophie has made a name for herself by standing up for Caitlin Clark when no one else would. Whether it's facing off against J.C. Sheldon or Marina Mabry, Sophie has become the unofficial enforcer for a rookie who has been targeted since the moment she stepped onto a professional court.
The world is posting it. Every company has done it. They're just the ones that also get on board, and so I don't really think twice about it. I think they're just another group who is posting about it.
Your mom and sister have a favorite one? Is it different?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
So, Sophie did a good job not stepping in, and not saying that question was set up as a trap, but if she had gone into some sort of elaborate condemnation and/or supportive message, it would have been a whole thing. And she is right. It has been everywhere. Like mustard was at one point. And I do want to make it a quick point too, to say that, Sophie.
Even the White House couldn't stay away from the drama. When the president's social media team posted the Sophie Cunningham meme, it signaled that this wasn't just basketball anymore. It was a cultural phenomenon. But Sophie's reaction to the government involvement was surprisingly cold. She didn't see it as a badge of honor or a moment of prestige. To her, it was just another group jumping on a bandwagon while the players on the ground were dealing with the actual fallout. She didn't give them the satisfaction of a supportive message, effectively dodging a massive political trap.
I think a lot of people appreciate her honesty, but she's also another one where a bunch of crap has gotten attached to her that I'm not even sure where it originated from. The MAGA Barbie thing, for instance. I know she reposted a couple things in the past, but I don't even remember the specifics. And I remember when I saw them, they weren't like explicit in support of a specific political party, and they certainly weren't MAGA. And I even see people like that Maria Rose girl did a video the other day, like why everybody hates Sophie Cunningham. And what she said was vague as to what Sophie Cunningham did. So Sophie Cunningham not treated fairly.
The most damning part of Sophie's revelation wasn't about her health, but about the league's total lack of support. When asked point blank what the WNBA does to help players navigate the toxic social media landscape, her answer was chilling. She admitted she honestly doesn't know if the league does anything at all. They might put out a statement here or there, but in the trenches where players like Caitlin Clark are being attacked daily, the league is effectively invisible. Sophie's words exposed a massive gap between the league's marketing and the reality of player safety.
Sophie Cunningham not treated fairly because she's even come out and said, she's talked about her beliefs and how she believes that, there have been assumptions made about her political views and the like without anybody actually talking to her. And Sophie keeps it real and keeps it 100. That's what people like about her more than anything else. I also think Sophie proved how authentic she is, like it or not, in regards to what she said about all of the, I'll use the word I've sworn off, but the discourse after what happened with the finger point. And then
for Sophie, the league's inaction is a sign of the times. She believes the WNBA operates purely as an entertainment business, and in that business, players are often viewed as replaceable assets rather than human beings. If you can't handle the heat, you're on your own. This sink-or-swim mentality is exactly what Caitlin Clark has been dealing with since day one. While the league profits off the record-breaking ratings and jersey sales, the players are left to build their own mental toughness to survive the onslaught of hate and criticism that comes with the new spotlight.
Is that my whole identity and that's what I'm thriving on? No, it's not. I think it's funny. But yeah, I just don't care. I think people are funny, people are dumb, and, they let them do them. I'm just going to stay in my lane.
So, Sophie clearly is not a big fan of the Phoenix Mercury or DeWanna Bonner. And you could maybe take that from those comments as well. But she's always going to stand on business. And again, just like Caitlin Clark, she's had a real life stalker arrested. And she's had people fix their mouth to say all sorts of wild stuff about her. And as I've said, nobody should be on the receiving end of hate or anything like that. I don't know how.
If you're going to live by the praise, you're going to die by the hate. That was Sophie's brutal assessment of the current state of the game. She wasn't just talking about herself. She was sending a message to every rookie and veteran in the locker room. The league isn't going to save you. There is no PR shield coming to rescue you from the comments or the controversies. According to Sophie, it's all on the individual. It's a lonely realization for players who expected a professional organization to have their backs when the discourse turned ugly and personal.
Stalker arrested, and she's had people fix their mouth to say all sorts of wild stuff about her. And as I've said, nobody should be on the receiving end of hate or anything like that. I don't know how many times the disclaimer has to go out there, but at the same time, the league isn't going to be able to stop or control all of that. And in my opinion, Sophie Cunningham has the right mentality and the right attitude, and she seems completely built to deal with it, which is once again why those comments were on point. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I think we've now heard from everybody, right? Like every involved party, every involved political party, every involved.
This lack of protection has led to some truly dangerous situations. Sophie pointed out that both she and Caitlin Clark have had to deal with real-life stalkers being arrested. This isn't just about mean tweets or internet trolls. It's about physical safety. When the league remains silent or offers only vague statements, it leaves the door wide open for people to cross the line. Sophie's frustration was palpable as she discussed how players are forced to filter through the madness alone, wondering if the next person they encounter is a fan or a legitimate threat to their well-being. Then there is the issue of labels. Sophie has been hit with some of the most aggressive branding in the league, including the MAGA Barbie nickname. She's seen the videos explaining why everyone hates her, and she finds the whole thing laughable. She argues that people have made massive assumptions about her political views and her character, without ever speaking a single word to her. It's a side effect of the league's inability to control the narrative, allowing fans and critics to weaponize a player's identity to fit whatever story they want to tell that day. Despite the labels, Sophie stays 100. She refuses to change her personality to appease the league office or the critics. She knows she's been accused of saying things she shouldn't, but she values her honesty over a polished corporate image. This authenticity is exactly why she is so protective of Caitlin Clark. She sees a young player being thrown into the fire and recognizes that the discourse is often designed to break people down rather than build the sport up. Sophie is the one willing to say the things that the league's official channels are too afraid to touch. The tension between the Phoenix Mercury and the Indiana Fever isn't just about a single game or a single elbow, it's a clash of cultures. Sophie's stand-on-business attitude puts her at odds with players like DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas, creating a high-stakes environment every time they step on the court. But while the league loves the drama for the ratings, they aren't doing anything to manage the fallout. Sophie's comments suggest that the players are essentially being used as gladiators in a digital arena, where the conflict is encouraged but the casualties are ignored. Sophie's refusal to care about the good or the bad is her ultimate survival mechanism. She laughed off the viral meme because she refuses to let her identity be defined by the internet. Whether it's the Statue of Liberty edit or a hit piece on her politics, she stays in her own lane. But she also notes that not everyone has that level of mental armor. Some players are being destroyed by the hate, and the league's failure to provide resources or protection for those individuals is a glaring oversight that Sophie isn't willing to ignore any longer. The Statue of Liberty meme might be funny, but the reality behind it is serious. Sophie mentioned that everyone around the world is posting it. Every company, every brand, but where was that energy when the players were actually struggling? The commercialization of the players' personalities is at an all-time high, yet the players themselves feel more isolated than ever. Sophie's honesty about rotting in bed while the world laughed at her image shows the massive disconnect between the public persona and the private reality of a professional athlete in 2024. Wait until you hear how she feels about the media traps. Sophie is well aware that she's being set up. When reporters asked her about the president posting her meme, they were looking for a soundbite that could be twisted into a political headline. She did a masterclass in deflection, not because she's afraid, but because she knows how the game is played. She's seen how Caitlin Clark is treated by the press and how every word is dissected for hidden meanings. Sophie has decided to stop playing their game and start speaking her own truth on her own terms. The league's silence on player treatment has created a vacuum where dumb people, as Sophie calls them, can say whatever they want. Without a strong voice from the WNBA leadership, the narrative is controlled by the loudest and often the most negative voices on social media. Sophie's critique of the league's statements highlights how ineffective they really are. A PDF posted on Twitter doesn't stop a stalker, and it doesn't stop the wave of hate that hits a player after a controversial play. Sophie is calling for real action, not just more corporate PR. The MAGA Barbie narrative is a perfect example of how things get attached to players without their consent. Sophie noted that she's seen people like the Maria Rose girl do entire videos on why she is hated, yet the reasons given are always vague and based on assumptions. By not defending its players from these types of character assassinations, the league is essentially allowing its talent to be bullied. Sophie is standing up for herself because she knows the league won't, and she's encouraging others to find the courage to do the same before they lose their voices. Caitlin Clark's role in all of this cannot be understated. As the face of the new WNBA, she is the primary target for both the praise and the hate. Sophie has seen firsthand how Clark is treated on the court and in the media. By standing up for Clark, Sophie isn't just being a good teammate. She's highlighting the league's failure to protect its most valuable asset. If the WNBA won't step in to ensure the fair treatment of its biggest star, what hope do the rest of the players have? Sophie's on-point comments were a wake-up call for everyone watching. The Indiana Fever are currently at a crossroads, with Caitlin Clark expected back in the lineup and Sophie Cunningham returning to practice. The team is trying to use the recent controversies as a rallying cry. They are becoming a come-together team, forged in the fire of public scrutiny. But they are doing it in spite of the league's management, not because of it. Sophie's mental toughness philosophy is being adopted by the entire roster as they realize that their only true support system is the person standing next to them on the hardwood. Is the league actually benefiting from the chaos? That's the unspoken question in Sophie's interview. If the drama drives clicks and the clicks drive revenue, does the league have any real incentive to stop the hate? Sophie seems to think the answer is a resounding no. By framing the WNBA as strictly an entertainment business, she's acknowledging that the players' well-being is secondary to the spectacle. It's a cynical but realistic view of the industry that most players are too afraid to voice out loud for fear of losing their jobs or their endorsements. The stalker situation remains one of the most terrifying revelations from Sophie's discussion. The fact that multiple players, including the league's biggest rookie, have had to deal with law enforcement issues due to fans crossing the line should be a national scandal. Yet, it's often buried under highlights and meme culture. Sophie's insistence on standing on business is a direct response to this lack of security. She's taking a defensive stance because she feels the environment has become genuinely unsafe, and the league's wait-and-see approach is no longer acceptable. As the Fever prepare for the remainder of the season, the focus remains on basketball, but the shadow of these shocking truths looms large. Sophie expects to be in the lineup and ready to play her best, but she's doing it with a new perspective. She knows the world is watching, she knows the memes will keep coming, and she knows the league won't do a thing to help her. Her authenticity has become her greatest weapon in a league that seems more interested in social media engagement than the actual humans wearing the jerseys on the court. The discourse isn't going away, and neither is Sophie Cunningham. She has proven that she is built to handle the fire, but her exposure of the league's treatment of players like Caitlin Clark has started a conversation that the WNBA can't ignore forever. Whether it's the lack of social media protection or the failure to address physical safety concerns, the cracks in the foundation are showing. Sophie's honesty might make her a villain to some, but to her teammates and the fans who want the truth, she is the only one keeping it real. Ultimately, Sophie Cunningham's message is one of self-reliance. In a league that doesn't really do anything, the players must be their own advocates. As Caitlin Clark returns and the spotlight intensifies, the lessons from Sophie's rotting in bed experience will serve as a blueprint for survival. The WNBA is changing faster than the people in charge can keep up with, and until the leadership catches up, it will be up to players like Sophie to stand on business and speak the truths that no one else has the courage to say.